Hello everyone, and welcome back to Drax's Builds. Today we're going to be talking about the Gundam Unicorn, the high grade version in particular. Mostly because I had two of them and I wanted to see if I could customize it at all, but honestly, after starting this video and looking for pieces of existing Gundams that I had that would possibly be able to fit to this, I really couldn't find much. So let's dive into the overall build and then we'll talk about some of the customizations. All right, so when talking about this build, I have to be completely honest with you. I only gave it a 2 out of 5 stars, mostly because while the build is sturdy, the kit feels rather cheap. And honestly, this fail, this is fair. I'm sorry, it doesn't fair. It doesn't fail, but it is fair because it's an old kit. It's from the early 2000s, specifically 2009. And honestly, a high grade from the early 2000s is either a hit or miss on whether it's a good kit or not. I would say that this is an okay kit. And by okay, I mean it looks pretty coming out of the box. You have plenty of detail space to add in all of your extra line work and stuff like that to try and customize it a little bit more. But in all honesty, that's about all you're going to get out of it. Now, in terms of how fun it was to build, I'd also give this a 2 out of 5 stars. Mostly because this kit requires so many tiny parts that have to fit together in order to give it these transparent effects, as well as the transparent pieces can be kind of fragile. So you're dealing with a mixed bag when it comes to that. So just be careful when you're building your own because you want to make sure that you get everything right. And if you're not like me and ended up getting a second kit as a birthday or a Christmas gift, you're going to run into some issues. So just be careful. Now, as for the weapons and accessories, you see here we get beam sabers, shields, a gun, and that's about it. That's pretty basic loadout for a Gundam kit, right? But the problem is these beam sabers, these blades, did not come from this Gundam. In fact, they came from my High New Gundam from the Build Fighter series. It was a High New Gundam Vrabe, I believe that's how you pronounce it. But I had to take all of the beam sabers from this guy right here and add them to the Gundam Unicorn because the Gundam Unicorn just did not come with any beam saber effects whatsoever, which honestly is a big downfall for me because I love swords. Swords on just about any, like, I mean, come on. If I had the chance to, I'd give every one of these a melee weapon of some sort. And that's pretty much what I've been doing when I'm looking at my suits. Like, I get all of the melee weapons I possibly can to kind of give them a better, like, aesthetic, you know? Because when you're looking at a Gundam with a melee weapon, it just gives it that extra oomph. You're looking at some extra sharp edges or something of that nature, right? So when I got to this Gundam and we had none of that available out of the box, highly disappointed. Highly disappointed. I would definitely say that was another 2 out of 5 stars overall. Now, I know that this only came with the one gun, the one shield, and the 4 saber hilts, but honestly, that truly limits what all this kit is good for in terms of like posing or just effect pieces and stuff like that. Because when you're looking at a Gundam, I don't know about you, but I kind of like to make them fight each other from time to time in terms of how they look at each other or things of that nature. Like I had an old series where or not an old series, but I did an old photo shoot of my, which one was it? I think it wasn't the Kameki Burning Gundam. It was the Tri Burning Gundam versus my Double O, and those were the only kits I had. And I just made them fight each other in some decent poses. And honestly, I think that added some coolness to it because both of them were highly posable. They had the ability to balance on their own in certain different positions and things of that nature. Then we come to this, and while there are 3 to 4 main suits for the Gundam Unicorn series, the Unicorn, the Banshee, and their variations, basically, you're including the Phoenix, you're getting more out of each of those suits in terms of things to look at, things to like customize, things to do, because they come with more stuff. And when I was watching the original Gundam Unicorn series, no, when he used the first destroy mode, he did not use the beam weapons too often. But he used the gun, he used the shield. The tonfas came out every once in a while so that he could do something, but it wasn't like non existent. For the fact that those just don't exist in the box gives me an issue. Then, on top of that, the posing is just not there. The Gundam is very stiff overall, and you really don't have much to do with it in terms of that. What you see in the picture in the back on its little pamphlet on how to build it is pretty much the way you gotta pose this thing. And even when we look at some of the other examples that they have in the book, it's really not too much more that you can do in terms of posing. It's just a very stiff Gundam. And that makes for a very unfortunate piece to be looking at, piece to be working on. And honestly, unless I'm planning on doing a full Frankenstein Gundam build teardown type of thing, I'm not going to get too much more out of this besides adding a few extra accessories to it from different Gundam units, or from giving it its own extra guns, like I did with the backpack there. But that brings us to another problem when it comes to actually using this kit as something that you want to add extra pieces to, right? When you're looking at this kit and you're thinking like, maybe I would want to make him dual wield guns or dual wield swords. Yeah, he can dual wield the swords. In fact, he can probably use all four of them at the same time due to having the holding hands and the tonfas in the wrists and everything like that. But like I said before, no beam sabers were included. But now the best part about this is that there's also no extra holding hand for the gun. So you only get the one hand to actually hold the gun in, which he's holding it right now. And then the left hand is just meant to hold the other beam saber, and they don't have any open hands for any dynamic effects or anything like that. So you're really left with a rather boring kit overall. And truth be told, that disappoints me because the Gundam Unicorn was one of my first series after Double O. It was one of the ones that I got really into, and I love Benager. I love all of the characters that are in that. In fact, when I was playing Gundam Dynasty Warrior Gundam 3, I love using the Unicorn suit. It is incredible. It is overpowered as hell. But you don't get that same feeling from its kit. And that's where I find a problem. I can see that this was supposed to be an entry kit for people to kind of get into the Gundam Unicorn, um, I guess, world of it, the Universal Century Unicorn. But with that being the case, and this being the basic kit, you have plenty of drawbacks, like just not being compatible with many existing kits. So you're once again met with a customization issue. Because when it comes to using a kit like, I don't know, the Freedom Gundam, perhaps. Maybe adding those wings to the unicorn would look really cool. Give it an extra bit of like pop out flair, make it stand out on your shelf a little more. Now, overall, I do want to say I did enjoy this kit. I would probably give the overall enjoyability of it maybe about 3 or 4. No, I'd probably say a 2 or 3 out of 5 in all honesty. Mostly because the kit does not have a lot of posability. It looks great on a shelf when it's standing by itself, but it doesn't have a lot of shelf presence in the fact that it doesn't bring a lot to it. Like, it'll catch your eye every once in a while, but if you surround it by a bunch of different kits, you're gonna get it lost in the shuffle. Which honestly, I would say overall, between the build quality being a 2 out of 3 or 2 out of 5, the the overall fun of it being a 2 out of 5, and the accessories being a 2 out of 5, we're going to end up giving this one a solid 3 out of 5 overall score in terms of using this Gundam. So, or building this Gundam even, because if we were going by, let's say, Mecha Guy Kotsu's, he's got his Gundarium tier list. I'd say this is about, I would say this might be a 2 to 3 stars on his list in all honesty, but I'll give it a 3 star on my own list just because I did enjoy the kit when I was building it originally. I do like looking at it. I love the little red accents that are all over it, and it gives off a very good, like, that menacing feel you got when you were looking at the Gundam in game or in the anime or something like that. So overall, 3 out of 5 stars. Generally, I would say building this kit would be something that if you just really love the Unicorn series, go ahead and get the high grade. If you just can't afford getting the real grade, let's be honest. If you can't afford to get the real grade or a master grade, which the master grade is going to be even more difficult with all of its extra tiny parts, the real grade will be the way to go. Now, I'll be able to get a better feel for some more of the Gundam Unicorn Universal Century type Gundams once I start building the narrative Gundam, the CPAX one, as well as the Gundam RX-78EX model and the Zaku F-Type Solari model. I'm going to go ahead and build all of those, get a better feel for that Universal Century type Gundam and how they were, I guess, supposed to be more blocky, more ready for impact type of things. But when we have the main suit Gundam here and it just doesn't hold up to what the anime was able to show us, I don't know. I feel a little disappointed. But honestly, I want to say thank you all for stopping in. I hope you enjoyed the video today. I know it was a little bit of a downer, but soon we'll be seeing some fresh new builds on here. I'm going to be aiming to do 1 build a month. If you guys have any specific builds you want to see done, please drop them in the comments. I'd be happy to take a look into those suits. Anyway, have a great day and subscribe. See you next time.